I don't know who's, that's not my drink. Does everybody have a procedures handout? No. I'll walk you through it. Just waiting for tech. We got it back. Oh, you're talking about something.
You're running the Zoom and you're not. Yes. We are live. That would be good. This phone, but you need me to go grab my. Almost every meeting. You don't want to do that.
Diane said she was on.
Yeah, yes. I always
Okay.
pay attention to my phone.
All right. I'll go ahead then and call the meeting to order. This is the special common council meeting of Monday, November 8th, and the time is just past 6 p.m. We'll begin with the roll call. If the clerk would please perform the roll.
Mayor Kim Smith,
Here.
Tom Smith,
Here.
Dan Stevens,
Here.
Stephen Knott,
Present.
Jim Olson,
Here.
Carrie Burmaster, Diane Wolf.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice.
Item 3 is public input. If you would like to address the Common Council this evening, now is the time to do so. Please begin by stating your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We will be having a public hearing regarding the budget, so this would just be general public input at this time. Second call for public input. Third and final call if anyone would like to provide public input at this time. Yeah, public input is complete. We will now move on for consideration and possible action on the following items. Item 4 is a public hearing beginning at approximately 6 p.m. on the proposed 2022 executive budget, including budgets for the general fund, the special revenue funds, debt service funds, enterprise funds, capital project funds, community development authority funds, general Gunderson Lutheran Parking Ramp Fund, and the tax increment districts. Would anyone like to provide public input at this time? Second call for anyone wishing to provide public input. If you choose to do so, please start by listing your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Third and final call for those wishing to provide public input to the Common Council regarding the 2022 executive budget. I'm not seeing or hearing anyone, so the public hearing is now closed. And I will move on to agenda item 5. Going to break these recommendations into 3 sections. The first being recommendations regarding public input. Since we had none, I will move on to recommendations by the Common Council for the attachments in your packet today. This is the request of staff that if the council so chooses to support these recommendations in the attachments, that you do so with one motion. And then if there is additional action to perhaps remove items, it be taken as a separate action, if that makes sense.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that we approve per the handout provided this evening in our packet, items 1 through 22, budget changes from proposed budget submission.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to approve the items 1 through 22 in the attached handout for the 2022 city budget changes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Diane Wolf, seconded by Carrie Burmaster. Discussion. Not seeing any, so we'll go ahead and vote for approval on these budget changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, that is approved. And then I will move on. If the Common Council would like to have new input on various budget changes, now is the time to do so.
Your Honor.
So Alder Wolf, and then we'll go to Alder Not next.
Thank you again, Your Honor. I have a few items. One is I spoke with Sabrina earlier today, and she did some follow-up work and identified under the Common Council tab, Fund 100-51100-240 software contractual. There is an amount in there of $3,250 that could be zeroed out. I'd like Sabrina to give some input, and then I would like to make a motion afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Sabrina, can you please describe that?
Yes, so that account had been used in the past for some software costs for the council in regards to recording meetings and so forth. In discussion today with our IT manager, it was discovered that he is now including that in his IT budget. So those dollars are being accounted for twice in our current budget.
Yeah, thank you. Diane, you want to put a motion on the floor and then we can better discuss it.
I move that we move $3,250 out of the aforementioned account and place it on the side for further discussion this evening.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Burmaster to remove that amount, $3,250 from the Common Council contractual fund and just leave it in limbo for now. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Next item I have is, I understand from, also from Finance Director Sabrina, is that there was identified $1,536 under the levy limit from F&P 2 on the plus side. So I would like to move that we place $1,536 off to the side for further consideration this evening.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith, to consider the amount below levy limit, which is 1,536, that money also be held to the side for further consideration.
Which jail did that come from?
Pardon?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, I had it as 1,534. I know it's,
Okay, let's have Sabrina clarify, sir.
It is $1,536.
36.
1,536.
Okay, Alder Wolf, are you done or?
Two more after the vote. Two more
Okay,
kind of that are dual.
all right. Is there any discussion on that? Oh, okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So my last two items are just a little bit longer. I feel comfortable saying that I think we are all in agreement that the hanging baskets in Center Island, Alaska provide a tremendous untold added value to the city of Onalaska. I know that Dan Wick reached out to Center Island, Alaska over a week ago. Dan, have we heard anything back from Center Island, Alaska as far as going forward for 2022? Typically, my understanding is that they've always gotten a hold of us and asked us and let us know what their intent was for this, what their needs are for the next year, but we haven't heard anything this year. I've also spoken with a number of staff this past week regarding the 200 hours that Parks expends to watering the flowers. At FNP2 last month, we were all reminded what occurred at our budget meeting in May of this year. I went back to the minutes to review what was said. I know two council members put the topic of increased staffing at Parks as a budget goal and directive for 2022. And also two alders spoke very strongly in favor of it. I want to remind everyone, this is like when we talked about adding fire and police. This is not pitting one department against one another, just talking about where we feel like there is need and trying to address it. I would ask that the OEF and Center Island, Alaska have a discussion about their mission and how to possibly fund it going forward. The OEF would have to call a special meeting as they don't meet again until January. Time would be of the essence to get ahead of this. I did some digging. There is for example, there's a La Crosse City Vision, which is a nonprofit organization that established in 1994. Per their website, they develop projects that beautify, protect, and keep the downtown La Crosse an inviting destination for local commerce and tourism. There's also the possibility of a BID, which is a business improvement district, but the businesses would have to be the driver behind that. I could see the OAF being the fundraising arm of Center Island, Alaska, possibly putting out an RFP for hiring someone like a company to possibly water the entire 7 days a week, and the Parks Department getting back their 200 hours of time every year. If we time this properly, I see no reason why this couldn't start this next season. I know Sabrina would like some input regarding this as far as the possibility of using a contracted service and it being incorporated.
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Sorry, Sabrina.
You're good. So in regards to hiring someone out to do this process, we would have to worry about if we spent over $600, we would have to prepare 1099s for that individual because they'd be considered an independent contractor. If we were to hire a business that was incorporated, we wouldn't have to worry about preparing the 1099, but who knows who would put up a bid and who we'd select. With the OEF, oops, go ahead, Amanda.
City Attorney Amanda Jackson.
I guess I would just caution us not to get too far down the rabbit hole with this, since this is an agenda that is, that was put out there for budget purposes, and this rabbit hole is a little bit off of that topic. I think that you could direct staff to investigate this further, but I don't know that we've properly noticed a discussion on the OEF and the future of watering and centering on Alaska tonight.
Thank you. Eric Reinflash, City Administrator.
I think the number of hours of staff to complete specific tasks could be on the agenda as it's a budgetary item. But I agree. I think the overall conversation about where else it should be, if it's on a budget item, maybe we should steer clear from that. But if there's a desire to direct staff in any particular direction. I think that's appropriate when it comes to the budget.
Thank you. We'll go back to Alder Wolf.
So to finalize then, to follow up, I would then make a motion to direct staff to follow up with this item going forward as discussed. And also move that, and a part of that motion also that Parks Department stop watering the hanging baskets.
I'll second.
So that was, can you restate your motion, please?
A motion would be to direct staff to follow up regarding the possibility of OEF in Cetewaydon, Alaska. And also for the Parks Department to stop watering the baskets going forward.
Okay, and then Stephen Knott, second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously.
I have one last thing.
Okay,
Last motion. And on the same topic of parks, I'd like to preface my comments with going on a record that this was not driven by any department head. This was my own doing. So I just want to make that perfectly clear. I did ask for supporting documentation from staff and everyone should have received an 8-page handout from Parks. I believe it was emailed to you and also a hard copy was placed in your mailbox today. City of Onalaska Parks and Recreation Department. Did everyone get it? I hope. So it's a breakdown that Parks has continually, I believe, done, and I believe Dan told me recently that is reviewed consistently by staff to make sure that it is an accurate ongoing document. In one of 3 memos recently from Fire Chief Goody, he had identified cost savings in the department in a few areas. And I would like for him to just confirm that this evening. So I want to make sure that I interpreted your memos correctly. One was to reduce the proposed 2022 part-time wages an additional $5,000. You also mentioned that a training captain was stepping down and being reassigned. There would be an annual savings of $6,000 and an additional $400 in annual savings for captain's pay. So if I understood your memos correctly, that it would come to $11,400. And at the time I understood that you were looking for cost savings in your department to help fund additional hours for your AA position. Okay, so this may not be a popular motion this evening, but it's one that I feel an obligation to make. I move that we transfer $11,400 from fire, which is Fund 100-52200-124, wages permanent part-time, to Parks wages temp seasonal Fund 100-55200-126, plus the 2 additional amounts previously set aside, being $3,250 and $1,536, for a grand total of $16,186 to go to Parks. And Mayor, if you need.
I think I have it.
Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion and then discussion. Alder Nahn.
Yeah, so what I was going to bring up is a council recommendation. I actually had 1536 going over to fire in order to increase their administrative assistance hours from 20 to 25 hours per week. The fire department, well, with that 1536, along with shifting some funds around internally, would be able to support that. However, I don't know how they would do that if we took away this money from them. I guess I'd let Chief come up and talk about the impact on that.
Let's see if any other counselors have input first. Does any counselors have any comments or questions before we go to Chief Goody? Okay, Chief.
I have input real quick?
Sure.
Okay, so under discussion, rather than create a half-time position, I'm looking at the possibility, just because I consulted with staff, it would just be a matter of transferring the dollar amount to Parks and Wages, and then department head Dan would could then go ahead and apportion additional hours to this, additional hours of this person, that person, people who are currently on staff, rather than funding, because I believe I could find additional dollars possibly to fund a half-time position, but rather than doing that, just looking at straight hours, Also, we heard the impassioned plea for additional help in 2019 for both police and fire for the 2020 budget. And at that time, council stepped up and did fund 3 additional fire and 3 additional police. We agreed to increase public safety and we therefore lost expenditure restraint. I'm hearing there is need again, and I'm asking for this council to step up once again. I looked at some numbers from proposed 2019 budget to proposed 2022. Fire has increased 21.6%. Police has increased 21.34%. If you look at parks from 2020 to 22 proposed, they're down almost 21%. Once again, I am not pitting department against department. I'm simply looking at where is the need right now. And I heard what Dan said in May. I heard what he said last month. I went back and reread the F&P 2 minutes, and the majority of council members made remarks recognizing the need. I believe that Parks has demonstrated a need for additional hours. And so I'm asking my fellow alders to support my motion this evening and make good on our previous input at the budget meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alder Wolf. Chief Goody?
Well, I know I've been up here a number of times talking about this position and how important it is to the fire department. We know that it was reduced from 40 to 20 hours. We've been trying to make that work. I'm trying to increase that to 25 hours. Now with the announcement of my training captain stepping down, I feel that there's going to be even more strain on the administration up there, which again, as you know, I only have a 20-hour position. I have a new assistant chief that I'm working with and myself, and I'm trying to grow this department. And so as your fire chief, I am recommending or requesting that you approve the 20 hours to 25 hours within my budget with no increase.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions by the alders? Okay, I'll restate the motion on the floor is to move the $3,250 from the common council contractual that we had on the side, the 1,536 that we were below the levy limit, and also an additional $11,400 from the fire department to move those funds totaling $16,186 to the Park and Rec part-time budget. Is there any other discussion by the councilors? Alder Knott?
Chief, what will be the impact on the fire department if we decrement your part-time wages by that amount?
Well, obviously, we just have to monitor what we're doing right now with our training. If I'm looking at increasing our part-time staffing in 2022, we'll have to monitor that as well. Our hours are very dynamic in our department based on the number of different calls that we do have. So I know you all understand that we do have a good portion of our part-time wages left over this year, which is actually a good thing. It should be a good thing. But again, our staffing was down in 2021, and I'm looking at increasing that so that we can get staffing back up to where I'm more comfortable with our emergency responses.
Okay, I guess I'll clear. So it's not just not increasing the extra 5 hours per week, but you'll actually be losing money in that account. I guess that's, I mean, what is the impact of the loss?
Well, yeah, obviously we're going to have to see how that plays out through 2022 and monitor it. I don't want to restrict firefighters from responding to emergencies.
Thanks.
Thank you. Alder Stevens?
Chief, was there any crossover between the administrative assistant and the training? I forget the name of
The training captain?
the training captain,
Well,
their duties.
Well, what was a benefit to me was I had that training captain up there and he was working anywhere just over 600 total hours. And he was able to offer reports to me that I needed for statistics and things like that. He did a lot of data entering. And I see that a lot of those responsibilities are either going to have to come to myself or partially to the assistant chief and to the administrative assistant. So I feel that if we can increase those hours, that would help. And we do have that savings from that position stepping down into a different role. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Alder Wolf?
Second round, and also if everyone did get a chance to read the 8-page document that came from Parks. They are short approximately 1,000 hours from their actual work and the actual hours that they had budgeted. So that is why I was looking for funding for about 1,000 hours, approximately 1,000 hours that they were short. I don't mean to put Dan Wick on the spot. If he wanted to give any input this evening, he certainly is welcome to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Dan, did you want to say something?
I'm not going to rehash my plea that I did last week. I just have concerns with what we have. I provided a document that we started back in 2004, completing of projects that we have. And so that document is updated with the staff that we currently have, the work that we're responsible for. And, that's the true data that we have.
Thank you. Alder Smith?
Yeah, I'd like to support Diane's, I think I would support that, Diane, because I do know that the park, you look at their budget and their staffing, it's gone down every year. We've inherited a new park, with the Dash Park, and I know they're spread pretty thin. And I've seen some of the folks, and they do a good job, but we don't want to burn them out either. So I will be supporting that nomination.
Thank you. Alder Knott?
Yeah, if we look for a middle ground here, the 3250 would still be available, and that's going to be approximately 200 hours or so, maybe a little less depending on what their hourly wage is. So looking at what Chief is asking for would still leave the 3250 remaining, and that could still move us in the right direction.
Diane included that in her motion.
Yeah. Well, she's got it all going in.
Right.
I'm just saying that.
Okay,
there's-
so we'd either need an amendment. If you're going that route, you either need to do an amendment or we need to vote it down and have a second motion. Logistically, those.
I'll make an amendment that the 3250 taken from, what was that line item?
Also software.
Council software, yeah, be dedicated to increased hours in Parks and Rec, but that the remaining sums remain in the fire department.
Second for discussion.
Okay, so we have an amendment to the motion that the 3250 from the council contractual and the 11,400, is it the total amount, Stephen?
Was 1,536 within my amendment would be for assisting with the 20 to 25 hour increase for part-time. The 3250 would be to Parks and Rec.
And then the 11,400 would stay in the fire.
That would
department
stay in the
where it
fire.
is now. Okay. So that is the amendment. Is everyone clear on what the amendment is? Is there a second on the amendment?
I seconded.
Okay, so we have so now the amendment is under discussion. Stephen, did you want to go first since you made the motion, or you're good?
I think I pretty much said what I need to.
Alder Stevens?
I think I understand Stephen's point of view where maybe there's a way to get some sort of compromise here, but I think the crux of the problem, and I agree with Alder Wolf, that our greatest need right now is in the Parks Department. However, even though that we're not trying to pit one department against the other, if you're pulling money from one and putting into another, I see potentially that could cause some bad blood. I think we need to solve the problem in a long term, and in the long term, I think that means outright just increasing staff in the Parks Department, which I don't think that's going to fit in this year's budget. We did kind of allude to, and I don't think we quite made a promise, but we all agreed that this was something that should happen last May, and it didn't. I think we I think we need to start making promises and find a way to make it happen. So we have an additional full-time person in the parks in next year's budget. So I'm a little shaky on aggressively pulling that much money out. On the other hand, I think that there's more need in the parks. So I'm kind of at a crossroads here, and I'm probably going to have to vote one way or the other. But so I understand the need. I understand Wolf's plan really addresses the problem to the best that we can do in this year's budget. I'm just not sure in the long term that's what we ought to be doing. So if there's a compromise that would, I don't think we're going to make everyone happy, but maybe make everyone a little less unhappy, that I'd be interested in exploring that.
Thank you. Alder Burmaster.
And I would like to speak in support of Alder Wolf's motion also, and I would not be in favor of pulling any money out of there because, as she had stated, we did have additional staffing in the fire department. So there should be some relief there. I understand, it might not be exactly the position we're talking about, but maybe they could do a little bit of, passing the work around a little bit and making it, in a fashion where it can get done, because they do have some extra bodies there. We did take away a lot from Parks and Rec. So they're the ones that are down. So I am in favor of leaving that money with Parks and Rec because I think their need is greater this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Alder Wolf?
One last one, I think. And I just want to note for the record that these were dollar savings that Chief Goody identified within his own department that he was looking to help fund additional hours for his AA position. I've sat at this council where budget type, someone has made a motion just to take something out and just summarily, and they haven't even talked to anyone. They didn't even ask, what was the want, the need, can you afford it, whatever. I just want to go on record that these were funds that he identified for cost savings that he felt comfortable in order to help fund the position. Mind you, I did not relish making this motion. I said it may not be popular. I did let him know right before the meeting that I was going to do it because I did not want him to be blindsided. I wanted to be respectful, but I typically do not work that way where I'm going to come in here and say, he doesn't need that money. We're just going to transfer to another department. These were dollars that I had identified. So it can come across that we're pitting department against department. I know Mayor Kim had said something about that, I think back in May at our budget meeting. And I think we all need to be very careful. And I think no matter what we say and or do, it may come across that way, but I don't think any of us up here ever has that intention to ever do that, because there's no one department. We can say all that we want, but there really is no one department that's any more important. It's just that there's different budget years where there's more need that is identified. And I think it's upon all six of us to make those tough decisions when we have an identified need, and we need to step up to the plate and support staff when we identify a need. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, Stephen Knott, sorry.
Diana, are you saying that, did I hear correctly that you said that Chief Goody had identified $11,000 as being okay to take away? Is that what I heard you say?
No, my understanding is he identified in his memos as cost savings that he could find to help utilize any savings budgeted. So I have the following options for consideration to support this increase. So he could reduce, this was him saying he could reduce this and this and this. So he found those cost savings.
Plus the 1536 is what he's looking for too. So
Plus
it's
the
some
1536.
savings plus the
Plus the
1536.
1536 from F&P 2 last week or 2 weeks ago, and then the 3250 that Sabrina found in Common Council.
I don't think that Chief was talking to 3250. He was saying internal plus the 1536, he could get the extra 5 hours.
Well, he's given us 3 memos. There was one dated the 25th of October, one dated October 14th, and the most recent one in November.
Roger, I have November 3rd is what's in front of me. That's what I'm going off as the most recent one. So I understand. And I've actually had conversations with him too. So, but certainly taking money away from that account means not only would he not be able to increase, but just logic tells me he's going to have to decrease part-time hours. So, and where's that going to come from? The admin assistant that he says he needs more help on? We're going to actually have that person do less work?
I asked Sabrina to run an updated Tyler sheet, which I passed out to everyone this evening. So, and that is what is reflective of, if you see like kind of like the hours now on fire. Through today, the wages permanent part-time, they had budgeted $74,050, and as of today, as of the 8th, they spent $38,000. So I believe that is where he was taking some of it. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but I'm just assuming if he identified some dollars that he could.
It's my understanding he was
reduce.
taking some of that from the savings from the training captain stepping down for a period of time.
Yeah, $6,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, he suggested to reduce the proposed 2022 part-time wages an additional $5,000. And the training captain was stepping down, that was $6,000. And the additional savings for captain's pay was $400. And that's where I came up with the $11,400 figure.
Okay, well, I personally cannot support reducing his part-time budget when he's saying he has a need to actually increase it. I mean, I guess I'm open to discuss whether or not he needs the 1536, but taking away money from that account, I can't support.
He's not saying he has to increase it.
He wants to increase the admin assistant from 20 to 25
That
hours.
position, But
Yes.
the total line item, he is decreasing.
He's decreasing on his request for next year.
He's decreasing the total line item by $6,000. Excuse me.
Because in his budget, she's a permanent part-time person, which is listed different on his budget sheet than the other part-time people. So he basically wants to move it from the general part-time budget to the specific administrative assistant part-time person. So he wants to move it from one place to the other. And so if
you were to take from part-time, I guess you could still move that 6K, but the whole purpose of moving it was in order to increase hours. I can't.
Would he have moved it though if it wasn't available to him, or if he didn't think that he could afford to move it?
He's
wouldn't.
prioritizing his need out of the budget he has.
Madam Mayor, just for
Yes.
clarification, going back to what you had just said, were you essentially stating that it was moving from one category to another, but the net effect of the total hours for that position would be the same? Or is it, because Stephen's suggesting that the net hours as presented in the original motion would decrease the hours. My understanding is that it would stay at 20 per week.
When the chief, I believe, well, I'm speaking for the chief, but when the chief made the suggestion that he reduce his part-time budget by that amount, it was with the intent that he's moving those part-time hours from the general part-time on-call budget over to the administrative assistant. They're all part-time people, so I think it lends for confusion in the discussion.
So if the motion prior to the amendment were to pass, the net effect to that current administrative assistant position would still remain at 20 hours. Is that, because I think Stephen's under the impression that it is going
Yeah.
down?
Well, it would go down, and then not only would that go down, the chief would have less resources to complete other tasks with part-time people. So by not by having it at the hours it is now, he needs to rely on the other part-time people, like the training. I can't think of the job title right now. And he's relying on these people to do some of those activities. And so it's kind of like a double whammy. He doesn't get to increase it and his other part-time is reduced.
So the budgeted hours for the admin position stays the same. It's just that there's more duties that would have to be encompassed in that 20-hour-a-week framework. Is that?
I'm not sure I'm following you. there would be less other people to draw on to do, if you keep the administrative assistant at 20 hours and then you reduce the hours of the generalized part-time people, then that's less resources to draw on also, in addition to not increasing her hours.
Okay, so in summation, then, the hours currently are 20.
Yes,
Afterwards, they will still be 20.
yes.
Somebody will be doing less because they'll have less money to pay people. As an
I
aggregate, he's
couldn't hear you,
losing
I'm sorry.
money.
Could you repeat that, please?
I said, somebody will be doing less because he'd be losing over $5,000 out of his current budget to pay somebody. So somebody, you can argue whether it's the admin assistant or somebody else, but somebody's not going to be doing some work.
Okay, Amanda is looking worried. So Amanda, would you like to comment?
I would just like to remind everyone to raise their hands and address the chair as called on.
Thank you. Okay, so right now we're discussing the amendment, which is to move the 3250 to move the 3250 from the contractual to the fire department.
No, my amendment was that goes to Parks and Rec. Just the 1536 was to fire.
Oh. Okay, so the 3,250 from the contractual would go to the Park and Rec department. The 1536 to bring us to the levy limit would go to the fire department. And other than that, the fire department would remain unchanged. That's the amendment.
Yes.
So is there any other discussion on the amendment? I think we should go ahead and vote on that. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
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 Okay, so Joanne, can you do a roll call then, so we're clear? Diane Wolf?
This is on the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Tom Smith,
No.
Carrie Burmaster,
Oh,
Jim Olson.
Is it 3-3?
It is.
Yeah.
Of course, that would happen. I'll vote in favor of the amendment. Okay, so now, how does that leave us with the original motion is pretty much changed then? So in the amendment passed, so now the original motion is that the $3,250 would go to the Parks Department, the 1536 would go to the Fire Department, and the other mentioned 11,400 from account 124 would remain unchanged in the Fire Department. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Is there any other discussion on that? Okay, Diane.
So let me just get this right one last time. So I'm looking at wages part-time for fire. So my understanding is that Chief Goody found $5,000 additional that he could do without to move. At least to, but he's not really, okay. And then $6,000 from the training captain, the $400. He's already at total budget proposed for this year that was proposed at $74,000. He's used $38,000 to date. Unless something crazy happens, there's a month and a half left, a month and 3/4. I don't know where he's going to go ahead and get up to $74,000. So he's budgeted almost the same dollar amount for 2022 at $73,400. So we're just looking at taking $11,400 out of there. I just want to make sure everyone knows, because there's been a lot of discussion here. So that's what we're looking.
Okay, well, and actually the current motion does not take that out of there. The
Well, that-
motion as amended.
Right, motion as amended. I just
It's
want
not.
people to understand that. I will bite my tongue and cede the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Aldernott. And then we'll go to Eric.
Clarify,
after.
Chief never said he can do without those funds. What he said is he would like to reallocate them to a different priority. That's quite different than saying you can do without.
Thank you, Alder Knott. And then we'll go to Eric Reinflush, our city administrator.
For clarification, for our sake here as well, similar to what Alder Wolf was asking. So the motion as it now is amended would increase the fire department's budget. Is that correct?
By 1536, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Alder Smith.
So the motion on the floor now is the first one, right? But now that's changed. So how much would go to the park?
3,250,
I thought, yeah, okay.
unless there's another amendment. Sabrina,
Which would be about 200 hours as alderperson not calculated. That's the same number I got.
thank you. Any other discussion by the counselors? Alder Burmaster,
I would propose another amendment, that we would take that 1536 and also put that to Park and Rec and not towards fire.
thank you.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Alder Burmaster, a second by Alder Wolf to amend it so that the 3250 mentioned went to Park, the 1536 went to Park, and the 1140 that was previously mentioned would stay in the fire department. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Alder Knott?
So if that were to happen, and you were not to get the 1536, obviously you would still be reprioritizing some of those other funds to increase the part-time administrative assistant. How many hours would you be able to get without the 1536? And are we talking 1 hour here a week? What are we talking? Yeah.
Okay,
I
Chief
was-
Goody?
Proposing, I'm sorry, was I supposed to say Chief Goody?
It's all right. It's okay. Go ahead.
I was proposing that we go to 25 hours of the 5 extra hours. I was looking for council support to increase those hours from 20 to 25, which would be approximately $5,500. And then Sabrina, I don't know what WRS is as part of that.
Okay, so just doing some real quick calculations, if you were to lose the 1536 and just do this by shifting monies around internally, it looks like you'd still get up about 24 hours a week instead of 25 hours a week.
Well, within the budget and as I presented with the captain's wage savings, which if I'm following, did not get cut out of the fire department budget, correct?
Not at this moment.
Right, so within that, I should be able to, like you said, move money within my budget to do the 25 hours a week if
Okay,
I'm approved for that.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Sabrina?
So the cost for 5 extra hours, including WRS and including FICA, would be $6,306 annually.
Thank you for that. Any other discussion? Okay, so the amendment on the floor. Do I need to say it again? The parks gets the 3,250 and the 1,536, but the fire department is unadjusted. That's the current amendment. So maybe we'll just go right to a roll call vote and then it will be easier.
Let's look at that.
Something.
Jim Olson,
Yes.
Your vote is a yes? It's a roll call vote. We're voting.
Yes.
Tom Smith,
Yes.
Carrie Burmaster,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
I'm sorry if I appear ignorant, but could we, a yes vote is what and a no vote is, this has been turned around a few times.
Okay,
so
so
I'm kind of slow.
we're just voting on the amendment right now. And under the amendment, the Parks Department would get the $3,250 from the Common Council contractual. The Parks Department would get the 1536 that were below the levy limit, and the Fire Department's budget would remain unchanged. That's what we're voting on right now.
Okay, I'll go yes.
Stephen Knott.
Yes.
So that carried unanimously, 6-0. Okay, so now we're back to the original motion, which has been amended to be same thing we just voted on. Parks, 3250 from the contractual, Parks, 1536 from the levy limit, and the fire department is unchanged. That's the original motion. Now, Alder Wolf,
So if we vote, okay, so a yes vote as to what you just stated, a no vote would be the whole thing goes away and everything stands as is, and we start all over, or
Yes.
not?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
and then we can have a new motion. We can do that. Okay. Does everyone understand? Okay, so we'll go ahead and have the vote. Let's just do it by roll call so we're all clear.
Carrie Burmaster,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Yes.
Diane Wolf,
Oh,
Jim Olson, Tom Smith.
Aye.
Dan Stevens.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion passes 5-1. Okay. Now, is there any other input? I think Stephen Knott, did you have something? Or it's been resolved? Okay,
That's the fire issue.
so is there any other new changes the council would like to consider? Alder Stevens.
Your Honor, I've been going through my tabs here and it seems this is kind of contentious and we've identified some needs that we need to address and it's hard to pull from one department that needs help and put it into another. So I'm actually going to propose to do just that. If you remember, we had in the under inspections, there was a large budget there that had, I think we brought it down to maybe $95,000. And more than half of that budget had not been used. I thought that we could have shaved a little bit more off, and I'm wondering if there would be support. I would maybe draw another 5,000 off of that and then put that into the parks.
You have an account number?
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, 1 second.
If you give me some time, I believe it was under inspections.
Yes, that's correct.
Then once we get a motion on the floor, we can discuss it.
If somebody can identify the GL, I will make a motion. And if this, I know the danger is that with some of the new construction that we have, there could be more. We could put ourselves in a position where that might be utilized. I think we have to be prepared to come back on.
We get a motion on the floor first.
Do you want,
I do it without the GL. Oh, yes.
sorry, the GL account number is 100-52400-290.
524
52400-290.
290.
And in the budget changes, you currently already took 10,000 off of that.
I believe it went from 105, no, it went from 110 to 100.
Correct.
Thank you for that.
And what was the GL that for the Parks Department for labor?
100-55200-126.
I'm not wedded to any particular amount, but just to get the ball rolling, I'm making an amendment that we reallocate from GL 100-524-00290 to GL 55-200-126, the amount of $5,000.
I'll second that.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Knott. Discussion. Alder Knott?
Yeah, so the inspections budget has been underspent pretty much habitually. Now, I also know that there's risk by not having enough there in case something were to come up where we have an unusual number of inspections in a given year, we need to have it. But I think the risk is low. So yeah, I support that $5,000 move to Parks and Rec. I think that's prudent.
Thank you. Alder Stevens?
I don't relish pulling it from planning, but that seemed to be the kind of the fattest cow out there. And we know that the need in parks is very, very real. And should it come to pass that inspections just goes crazy, I will have to do a mea culpa and revisit that in the middle of the year. And in the event that we don't use that extra money, then this would seem like a better allocation of our resources.
Thank you. Alder Knott?
And if this were to go through, adding on to the 4786 that we already just voted on, moving over to Parks and Rec, by my calculation, it's about 575 total hours between the 4786 and the proposed 5,000. So we're over halfway to 1,000.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, so the motion on the floor by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Knott, is to move $5,000 from the inspections account ending in 290 to the Park and Rec account ending in 126. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, motion passes 5-1. Is there any other new items the council would like to introduce? Not seeing or hearing any, then our next step is to go back to public hearing so that the public would have an opportunity to weigh in on the changes that we have made. So at this time, I'll reopen the public hearing. If anyone from the public would like to address the recent changes to the budget, now is the time to do so. Second call, if anyone from the public would like to address the common council regarding the budget changes. Third and final call, if anyone from the public would like to address the council. Not seeing or hearing anyone, that public hearing is now closed. Okay. Once again, the council can consider any input or changes they may want to make. Second call for the council. Not seeing or hearing any additional changes by the common council. We then move on to action to approve the 2022 city budget. I'll review that this is a vote of a simple majority. If someone would like to make action, now is the time that we would consider that.
Move that we approve the city budget for 2022 as discussed.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion on the floor by Stephen Knott, seconded by Alder Jim Olson to approve the city budget as presented. Any discussion? Okay, so we'll do a simple vote and then we'll do the resolution after that. So all those in favor, please. Do you need something, Sabrina? Did I say something wrong?
Can we just have a short recess before you approve the resolution?
Yep.
And the changes that were made that will change the resolution.
Okay, so let's make sure that we even get it passed first and then we'll pause for a moment. So who
I'm thinking
knows?
ahead.
Anything can happen. Okay, so now we are going to vote on approving the 2022 city budget as we have changed it today. And we'll do that by roll call to make it simpler for me, if not for Joanne.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Diane Wolf, Jim Olson,
Aye.
Carrie Burmaster,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Tom Smith.
Okay, the vote was 5-1, so the motion passes to approve the 2022 budget, and we'll now pause so that our finance person can update the numbers as they were changed in this meeting so far.
For the record, we may have to step out for a second. Can we do official recess of 5 minutes?
Okay, we'll do a recess for 5 minutes.
But I was.
I don't know what's going on. We're going down a really trippy hole.
Sure that that's. Let the mayor know. Roger that. Okay.
Yeah, this is the new
Okay, so Amanda, do you need to get something going again? Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. We do have the document back from our financial director. The next item on the agenda is item 8, resolution 39-2021. This is authorizing the appropriation of the necessary funds for the operation of the city of Onalaska for the year 2022. I'll read it into the record since the numbers have been updated. Whereas there is hereby appropriated out of the receipts of the city of Onalaska for the year 2022, including monies received from the general property tax levy, the amount set forth in the budget as adopted by the Common Council on November 8th, 2021. And whereas a tax of $6,908,326 on all taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 general fund budget. And whereas a tax of $969,551 on all of the taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 refuse and recycling fund budget. And whereas a tax of $220,312 on all taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 shared ride taxi fund budget. And whereas a tax of $0 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the use and purposes set forth in the 2022 equipment, new and replacement budget. And whereas a tax of $50,000 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska as returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 joint municipal court budget. And whereas a tax of $3,668,298 on all of the taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 debt service fund budget. And whereas a tax of $321,178 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 parking ramp fund budget incremental levy. And whereas the city's portion of the tax, $233,298 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 tax incremental District number 5 budget, the incremental level, there it be resolved by the Common Council in the city of Onalaska. The city clerk is hereby authorized and directed to spread the aforesaid levies on the current tax roll of the city. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jim Olson, seconded by Tom Smith. Is there discussion? Amanda.
Mayor, procedurally, because the resolution was published, what we'll need to do is need to make an amendment to the resolution and packet, changing the numbers as you stated them. And so you could do that with one resolution going through each paragraph or one motion going through each paragraph of the resolution, or you could do each paragraph at a time. It's up to you, but we need to vote to make the changes to the resolution that was included in the packet. Also, the copy you have in front of you has the year 2020 throughout. It should read 2021. I think this was a draft copy that hadn't been updated. And so it's not the same as the one that's included in your packet tonight. Correct. So the dollar figures in the one that was just handed to you at the recess are correct. However, each whereas clause states that it's by the assessor in the year 2020, which should be 2021. Additionally, at the top, it's resolution 39-2022. That's not filled in. I think the easiest thing again would be to make an amendment to the resolution that's included in your packet, which is the one that was given to the public and noticed. So for your purposes, this one is really just giving you the correct numbers, if that makes sense.
Okay, so what I just read is the final resolution. And can I just point out the differences?
You can, but I need you to approve those differences in a separate motion from passing the resolution.
Okay, so really we need a different person to make a motion then. Okay, so the first motion that we would like to consider is for the second paragraph where it states the resolution in the packet stated $6,797,633 as the total tax. And we want to change that to $6,908,326. So if someone would like to make that motion, including the correct year that I misstated, that would be the first motion we'll need to consider.
We approve the tax of $6,908,326 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska returned by the assessor in the year 2021 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 general fund budget.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Dan Stevens, seconded by Carrie Burmaster to amend resolution 39 as he stated. Right? Okay, any discussion? And then do they need to be roll call votes? Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment to resolution 39, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Motion passes unanimously. And then we'll just move through if someone would like to.
I move that we approve a tax of $969,551 on all the taxable property within the city of Onalaska as returned by the assessor in the year 2021 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 refuse and recycling budget.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alder Stevens, seconded by Alder Smith to amend resolution 39 as described for the refuse and recycling fund budget. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Amendment passes.
I'll make it else can have a turn.
I'll make a motion, whereas the tax of 220,000. Is that the right one?
That one can stay. That
That
one's
stays, okay. That one's, next one. Which one is it?
equipment replacement fund.
Okay, 01, okay. Whereas the tax is $0, that one.
For each paragraph, they'll still have to amend it for the year change, right?
No, the year was correct. in the
Oh, that's right.
resolution.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
I believe so, but I mean, I defer to Amanda.
Yeah, just read that one then, okay. Whereas a tax of $0 on all taxable property within the city of Onalaska as returned by the assessor for the year 2020 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 equipment new replacement budget. I'll make that motion.
Okay, so just restate that that was for the year 2021. Assessor, the assessed value from 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, so motion by Alder Smith, seconded by Alder Burmaster to adjust the equipment replacement fund tax value to 0. Any other discussion? Eric?
Just as you move forward, the working document is the one that's been published, 39-2021, not what was handed out to you. And so the document has, the working document has the years correct. All you have to do is amend the dollar amounts.
Okay. So the motion on the floor regarding the equipment replacement fund, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of that amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, motion to amend carries unanimously. The next one will be the joint municipal court.
I'll move that we amend resolution number 39, 2022 to state that whereas a tax of $50,000 on all taxable property within the city of Onalaska is returned by the assessor in the year 2021 for the uses and purposes set forth in the 2022 joint municipal court budget.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor by Alder Knott, seconded by Alder Burmaster to amend the resolution regarding the joint municipal court. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. And then the rest of it is okay.
Correct. There were no changes past that.
Okay, so now we can go back to resolution 39-2022. Amanda.
I'm sorry, I would just note for the record that that is a typo. It should be resolution 39-2021. And so that doesn't require an amendment.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a typo and we'll fix that in the final.
Thank you for that. Okay, we'll consider a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
I move that we approve resolution number 39, 2022 as amended.
Okay, motion by Alder Knott, seconded by Alder Olson. Is there discussion? Alder Burmaster?
I just want to note again that it's 39-2021. So the number for the resolution.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
She did, they just said that. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense too.
Or the budget year 2022.
22, got it. All right. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, we'll do roll call then.
Carrie Burmaster,
Aye.
Stephen Knott,
Aye.
Dan Stevens,
Aye.
Jim Olson, Tom Smith,
Aye.
Diane Wolf.
Okay, resolution passes unanimously. We have a budget. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you for all of your hard work on this. It's been fun. Item 9 is adjournment.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Alder Wolf, seconded by Alder Smith to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. We are adjourned and the time is 7:20.